For nearly 2 years, this has been home for Perth couple Shay and Harley Elwood.
Hi, Mum. What are you up to?
Forced to move here after their previous landlord decided to sell.
What? Where's Bluey? Or do you want your Chewy? You want this? Our old house was $360 a week in rent. It was so much bigger compared to this house. This house we paid $600 a week in rent, and it's very small.
Probably half the square footage inside compared to the old house.
Is that your Bluey?
Their 8-year-old son Xavier has a severe disability requiring regular treatment.
Me and Harley have thought about moving further out, but because of everything that we go through with Xavier, he has day-to-day therapies, lots of hospital appointments, not alone to say that any particular time or day he may need to be rushed to the hospital. So unfortunately we have to stay within a reasonable distance to Perth Children's Hospital.
Get ready to take it in.
Harley works in IT. Shay gets a disability pension to look after Xavier. They thought they were on a pretty decent income, but it's barely enough to cover an upcoming $50 rent rise.
It's starting to worry us now with the rental increase that we're not going to be able to provide food for ourselves or pay for utilities or pay for our vehicles or just even going out on a normal going out, just an excursion with little man. It's worrying.
Perth is Australia's worst city for renters. According to fresh data, at the start of the pandemic, less than 2% of postcodes were out of reach for the average income rental household. 4 years later, nearly 70% of postcodes are beyond reach.
The situation is becoming dire, especially for those lower income households, but even now the average income household might really struggle to pay rent.
Ellen Witter is the lead author of the annual Rental Affordability Index report, published by SGS Economics and Planning and National Shelter.
We typically say whenever a low or moderate income household is paying 30% of their income or more on rent, they're in a situation of rental stress.
Since 2020, a record percentage of postcodes have become unaffordable in capital cities including Adelaide, Brisbane and Melbourne, and even in regional Queensland.
That unaffordability has really spread from the city centres to the outer suburbs. So now it's very hard for any working household to find a rent that's affordable and where they have access to their jobs, to transport and education.
Rents have risen faster in regional Queensland than any other regional area. Particularly hard hit, the Sunshine and Gold Coasts.
Says don't count on it.
Since 2022, Melanie Mizuraka and her 2 daughters have faced 3 rent increases in their Gold Coast apartment. In September, the family will be paying $650 a week. That's 54% of their gross household income before tax. They're already feeling the pinch.
Things like we get a haircut once a year, not being able to see family, the costs of travelling and that kind of thing. Also as well, I'd like to be able to give my daughter more out of school experiences that her older sister had, but just not able to do, these simple things that we should be able to.
Melanie's cleaning, gardening and pet care jobs bring in $900 a week. Her 17-year-old daughter Jaslyn earns around $300.
I don't mind helping out because I understand that to keep a roof over our heads, that's what I need to do.
Melanie and her family have spent their lives on the Gold Coast, but to avoid homelessness, they might have to leave.
I would feel a bit upset because my friends are here, my work's here, I love what I do for work, but I would understand that if we needed to take that measure, that's just what we would have to do.
The housing crisis is now creating what economists call two-faced cities.
It means that our labour markets become less efficient because people find it harder to live closer to the jobs in which they want to do, and that means it's harder for firms to find the workers that they need And ultimately that means a less productive and less entrepreneurial Australia.
For who are the cities? Because it's not for everyone anymore. And I think in the past we would have had a mixture of all sorts of households in our communities, from the barista to your nurse, to someone who runs a business. And now increasingly what we see in the inner cities is many households cannot afford to live there.
Producing problems which could affect generations.
So as housing becomes more expensive, it's changing the way in which our economy works. It's changing the social fabric, because that growing divide between the housing haves and have-nots is increasingly determining, people's outcomes in life.
For families like Melanie's, life is now a constant struggle to lower expectations.
It's just trying to be okay for myself and my children, especially when I can't give them something or go somewhere or do something. All of that is an impact on us because of just not having the money to be able to do those things.